You probably use your mouse to get around your computer most of the time, but did you know that keyboard shortcuts are a great way to work more efficiently? We're going to introduce you to 19 really useful keyboard shortcuts that are easy to learn and work in most popular programs. Now we're going to demonstrate them in a notepad editor here, but they might work a little bit differently in your favorite apps, but they should be pretty universal. Number one is Control and X. This allows you to cut, and it's similar to copy and paste as it works in tandem with them. So when you press Control X, whatever you had selected will be placed on your computer's clipboard, and then you'll be free to paste it, as we'll discuss in a moment. If you'd rather keep the source text there, you can press Control and C to copy. So as you notice, when I hit Control C, it copies the text to my clipboard, but it leaves the original there, whereas Control X to cut removes the original text and places on the clipboard. After you've done either of those operations, just hit Control V to paste, and then you can paste whatever's on your clipboard into the current spot. It's a really easy way to move text between different locations. A couple of other really handy keyboard shortcuts are Control Z to undo and Control Y to redo. If you make a mistake, you don't have to try to manually undo it. You can just hit Control Z to undo your mistake. And if you want to redo what you did, just hit Control Y and it'll place whatever you did back where it was. Moving on, we have Control A, which is the command to select all. So when you press Control A, your computer will select everything that's underneath your cursor. Now, that depends on where you are, so because we're working in this text document, you can see it selects everything. If you're on a web page and you hit Control A, it'll select everything on that page. So it really depends on where your cursor focuses at, what happens when you press Control A. Moving on to a couple of really handy keyboard shortcuts. Control S is the shortcut to save. This works in pretty much every app and allows you to save whatever you're working on. It's a good one to get used to so you don't accidentally lose work if something goes wrong. Control O is the shortcut to open. This allows you to quickly select a file on your computer to open in whatever program you're working in. And Control P is the shortcut to print. Not in this application, but in most applications, Control P will bring up the print dialog on your computer, which allows you to print or save as a PDF, as you can see in Chrome here. Now we should mention at this point that most keyboard shortcuts use a letter that corresponds to their function. So Control P to print, Control S to save, and so on. So if you remember what you want to do, chances are in a lot of cases, the keyboard shortcut starts with the same letter as the function. That's the case for our next one here too. Control F will open the find or search function in most apps. This works in your browser, this works in Microsoft Office. It just allows you to search whatever page you're on for whatever text you want to look for. It's really useful so that you don't have to sort through an entire document or article to find what you're looking for. Moving on to a slightly more advanced one, AltTab is a really useful shortcut for anyone who works in a lot of programs. So when you press hold Alt and press the Tab key, you're able to switch between the open windows on your computer. Continue hitting the Tab key and you can scroll through everything you have open. When you're happy with what you've selected, let go of Alt and your computer will switch to that app. It's a really easy way to jump around without having to move your mouse down to the taskbar and switch between your open windows. If you work with text a lot, you surely know that when you hit the Backspace key, your computer erases one letter at a time. But this takes a while if you're trying to erase a sentence or a paragraph. A faster way is to hold the Control key and press Backspace. This will delete one word behind your cursor each time, instead of deleting just one character. It's very similar with Control and Delete. As you probably know, if you press the Delete key, it'll delete one character in front of your cursor. But if you hold Control and hit Delete, you see that it deletes one word each time. This makes it a lot easier to delete quickly if you want to just use the keyboard. The Windows key plus L can be used to lock your computer. I won't demonstrate that here since I'm recording, but this is an easy way to keep your computer safe. If you get up from your desk, you don't want people messing with your machine when you're gone. A quick tap of Windows key and L will lock it for you. Windows key and P is a useful shortcut if you often work with multiple monitors or you use your computer with a projector. Windows key and P will let you open up the projection window where you can change what you're doing with your multiple monitors at the moment. Windows key and M will minimize all of your open windows on your computer, and then if you hit Windows key Shift and M, that will reverse the operation and reopen all of those minimized windows. Now we should note here that the Shift key is often used as a kind of modifier or backwards key. So for example, earlier when we talked about Alt-Tab to switch between your open windows, if you add the Shift key in there, you can go backwards through your open windows. So when we press Alt-Tab, If I hold the Shift key and hit Tab, you can see that it jumps backwards. So you can use the Shift key as a modifier with a lot of these shortcuts. Closing up with just a couple more here, Windows key and E will allow you to easily open up a File Explorer window on your computer. If you often need to access files or drag and drop or anything like that, this is a really easy way to pull up this window without much fuss. And finally, we have Alt plus F4. This is basically the same as clicking the X in the top right corner of any window. Alt F4 will simply close the current window that you're working on. It's an easy way to close a window if you don't want to take your hands off the keyboard, or if the X in the window is hidden somewhere and you don't want to have to dig it up. Well, that's all for this one. We hope that these keyboard shortcuts were useful to you. Take a little bit of time, integrate them into your workflow, and before long they should be second nature. If you keep a hand on the keyboard all the time, you'll be able to navigate with them and get around even faster. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.